Chantibon, chantilly, chapolim, é o seguinte. Não é pra ficar pulando, feito louco, aqui num baile de carnaval. Vamos fazer o clipe.
Testing.
Bem elegante, hein, galera?
No mínimo, o clipe que eu quero fazer com vocês, ok? Valeu! Muito bem aí, rapaziada do Charles. Estava ótimo. O conjunto musical, o Charles. Obrigado, parabéns. Tô todos de parabéns. Olha, continuem sempre assim, viu? Parabéns pelo grupo. Vai ser sucesso, hein? Eu tenho que ir, que já estão chamando. Tchau. Valeu. Bem.
Okay, I want to welcome you guys to UNSUBJUGATED episode 4. We have Revan Starkiller. I don't think you can see me. I forgot that my camera's on. So why don't you introduce yourself, Revan? I believe you're not on YouTube though, but I think
What's
you are.
up, Bold? What's up, everyone? Good evening. I'm Revan Starkiller, also known as King Lobster. More on Twitch. I do more gaming stuff. Hello, Lenin.
Oh, he's in there already? Yeah, he's a punctual one.
Yeah.
In any case, we are going through a whole election season in Brazil that I'm sure many of you might have heard about from, the crap media here in America.
Yeah, it feels more like an episode of The Twilight Zone.
So has anybody ever cared as much about what's going on in your country as far as elections and politics as now whether it's Brazilians or non-Brazilians. Do you remember?
Between Brazilians, yes. It's the time that most people cared about it inside Brazil. International media wise, I'm not sure. I think there's this thing that you guys call the Trump the arrangement syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And they are trying to pin that by association with Bolsonaro. But I remember also in 2014, there was a lot of misinformation from the international media about the election of Dilma against Aécio. I think they were just calmer about it because they they didn't see Aécio as much as a threat as Bolsonaro is. Or maybe is that just that the pendulum swings to the right and they react in a stronger way? Because here the same way that you guys in the US had the media saying that after Trump showed up that McCain was okay and Mitt Romney was okay and Bush was okay, but just because Trump showed up. The same routine is going on here.
Yeah, I would say that one of the reasons that Americans never seem to. You could probably see me now. Sorry, where's the? Oh, maybe not even now. I had to get rid of my camera. So yeah, I don't think anybody can see me now. Anyway, it's just gonna be Revan today and the voice of the devil. So we're gonna be talking about what's going on in Brazil, of course. Revan is from Minas Gerais, right, which is one of the largest states in Brazil, right?
Yes, it's the state, one of the largest state, and it's the state with the biggest number of cities.
Right, and I think that when most Americans, of course, he's also 1 hour ahead of me, so he's staying up past his bedtime, and it's going to be hard for him to go to work. And of course, in Brazil, everybody, their job is to look at beautiful, hot women and play soccer on the beach. Is that correct?
Yes. We cross the street. We go to the Amazon rainforest, catch some fish. Then we go to the beach, play soccer.
Yeah, I think like it has to be. People think of America as kind of a country where, of course, Maine and Southern California have very little in common as far as just the climate and the type of culture. But I mean, you have in Brazil, you have like in the South, you have kind of the cattle cowboy culture all the way in the South, and then up in the North is just like a lot of of course there's the rainforest, there's like entire parts of Brazil that's just logging colonies, I believe I heard. So
yes,
how is it?
They're pretty much
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. No. This cowboy culture is pretty much spread everywhere. I think it's more known in the South because of the European colonies there, and there are those small towns that they are still European colonies to this day, where like German is their first language, Italian is their first language. But since the states here they are all big, there is this cowboy farming culture pretty much spread around everywhere in the South. Here in Minas, in São Paulo, in the center of the country. I mean, there are some differences between the regions, but this farming thing and cowboy thing is pretty much spread everywhere. It's like here in Brazil, we are all rednecks here.
That's good to hear. We all say, we have a city here called Akron, which everybody, like a lot of people call West Virginia here. So, because like everybody there used to live in the mountains up there and mine coal, I guess. So, in any case, like, Brazil is often thought of, due to its very, 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 very diverse music, and also, which we had on earlier was Charlie Brown Jr., which is kind of a ska punk band or not even ska punk, like skater punk. They have some rap stuff mixed in as well. Yeah, and of course, people, last time we had on a band that Revan Starkiller hates, called, what were they called? Kid Abelha. And then there's, of course, Sepultura, which maybe if we have time at the end, we'll play something from them. if I don't get it.
Sure.
Actually, I don't think I checked the copyright on that one, on the Charlie Brown Jr. So
It
this
was
might
fine
be
in the end.
what?
In the last stream, it was fine in the end. You didn't get anything, did you?
Yeah, but I checked ahead of time. So,
Okay.
so this time, this might be the last episode of Unsubjugated before YouTube basically makes me get a third channel. So who knows? But it was a pretty good song in my opinion. But in any case, you're talking about a country where there's a lot of different types of ethnic groups. You have people from Ukraine, Japan, of course, indigenous peoples. There's Italians, a lot of Italians, and a lot of Germans.
Yes,
And,
a lot of Polish people too.
right. So when you walk around and you talk to people, do you think that there's any sort of separation based on ethnicity or status or sex, gender, whatever, as far as who they're going to
Not
be
at
voting
all.
for?
Not at all. The only line of difference I see here, and it's something specific in my state, is that Minas Gerais is basically a state that was built by farmers. And then slowly, as the cities developed, the children of those farmers ended up going to work by the state. For the state, I mean, sorry. And you have this wealthy medium class in this state that's formed basically by public employees. And they all tend to lean to the left. So it's something that I always comment with friends of mine from another states. That's really ironic here, that the only difference that you see here is that if you go to an expensive restaurant, an expensive supermarket, you're going to see somebody wearing a Che Guevara shirt, a Lula shirt, a red shirt, something like that. And if you go to a poor neighborhood, you're going to see Bolsonaro stickers everywhere, and they're all in right. It's that the so-called bourgeoisie here really tends to the left, because they have this tradition of working for the state, so they vote thinking about their positions, about their jobs, and this sort of stuff.
Okay, so I find it very interesting you brought that up, because there is a woman running for vice president in your country named Manuela
Yes.
Davila, who is a real fox here. But
Yes.
she's also a communist fox, and I'm not.
She's a member of the Communist Party.
Yeah, literally. This is not Ramon being an asshole. This is she is a communist. It's not, this isn't really
Officially supports North Korea.
Oh, for real? Yeah.
Yep.
I think she'd have a hard time fitting in there. But but in any case, this is her, and her husband is I think he's a keyboardist or no, he's a guitarist. Of course, he's wearing a guitar shirt, but I think I saw a video up there of him playing keyboard. And apparently, I call people like this who get they get up on the ladder of politics or society. I call them starfuckers, because she also happened to be before she dated this guy, no offense to him, she was dating this guy who is not really the same. I don't know what you have in common between. Hold on. Computer slowing down. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's kind of fuzzy here. So, yeah, it's loading. But he does not look anything like the other guy. It happens to be that her previous boyfriend was the justice minister of Brazil when she was like a low-ranking member of the Chamber of Deputies or something.
So she's basically a social alpinist.
Right? Yeah, starfucker. That's what they call it. But yeah, I mean, this is a person. And I guess everybody is entitled to their own private life, I guess. But the fact is, we'll go to these photos here. This is the type of person who in America we'd call basically a champagne socialist. She's going around, she's putting like photos of her friggin', some kid on her shoulder or something, or on her husband's shoulder or whatever. And
she goes shopping in New York every year.
Well, this is the problem that I see with people who profess to be working in favor of the workers. Okay, we have a certain and I'm sure you've probably seen a couple episodes of either my show or one of the other American commentators that you watch, referring to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah,
These are people that they mean well for the workers, but they don't know what these workers actually have to go through. I work with a lot of people who happen to have, whether it's the technicians that have to go through several years of training in order to learn how to basically how to fabricate electronics, put them together, or the engineers themselves and the safety engineer and all that. These are people, they're not doing this in order to just be a worker or a designer. They're doing it because they're into the industry that they're in, and they want to serve, of course, the product line that they're in. Otherwise, if you don't believe in your friggin' product, the fact that you're a worker doesn't mean shit. And
yeah,
I would say that in the United States, we have a lot of people who have grown up here, and they don't understand that mentality, because a lot of people never have worked in factories because of manufacturing left parts of the United States. Do you know if this is a real problem in your country, or is it like a different issue? Why you have somebody like this who, let's face it, she's pretty bangable, but I don't know what the
yeah.
hell people are doing voting for her. But what do you think motivates people to vote for somebody like this?
Oh no! Nobody's voting for her. Nobody's voting for Haddad. They are voting for Lula,
Oh, for
because
real?
Haddad. Yeah, yeah. I sent you an article about how much Haddad changed his campaign from the first round to the second one. In the first round, his slogan was "Haddad is Lula, Lula is Haddad." The pictures in the propaganda would feature Lula pictures, and basically his project as a president would be releasing Lula. That's all. So everybody, probably most of the people that declare in the polls or that voted for Haddad in the first round, they don't even know who the hell this Manuela Davila is.
All right, I might
They
have to go
probably,
find that. Do you remember which link that was? I'm gonna have to cover up because I have to pick
yeah.
up in
Let me check here.
1 second. So sorry, everybody, we're not gonna be able to see. You're not gonna be able to see either of us right now, but yeah, there's a real issue right now. So those of you that are new to the issue of Brazilian elections and what's been going on, the previous president was the president right now. His name is Michel Temer, and he succeeded the impeached
Yes.
president Dilma Rousseff, who was the protege of Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. And Lula, as he's popularly known, is currently detained. I think he's been convicted of various. I think I found your article, by the way. He's been convicted of various corruption schemes. I think we talked about it one time with a different guest, I believe like over a year ago. So basically, they've had a real issue, the Petistas, the Workers' Party, trying to replace the charismatic Lula with this guy Haddad, who honestly I don't know that much about, so I'm not gonna say whether he's good or
Well,
bad. I'm
he
assuming.
was. People see him as the worst mayor in the history of São Paulo.
Yes, I think two people have told me that already, and I don't really hear any.
Yeah, he was really bad. His administration was a disaster. I mean, really, the Workers' Party, these people, they are totally desperate to pick a candidate like that. I think they don't have much clue of what they're doing, because rare here in Brazil for a politician to win.
So,
And when he ran for his second,
hold on, I think we're having connection issues. Can you still hear me, by the way?
it's something really rare here.
I think it was on my end. I couldn't hear the last thing you said.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, it's kind of choppy.
Second. So yeah, you're saying that basically the Petistas, the Partido Trabalhador, is basically they drafted this stooge into their campaign, and the guy is basically incompetent, right?
Yeah. But they basically picked somebody that is willing to be a proxy for Lula.
Hmm.
And one thing I forgot to look an article about this, but Haddad, he was going every week to Curitiba to visit Lula in jail to get instructions. Pretty much like a organized crime leader that is in jail, the mob or something like that.
Yeah, this reminds me. We had in America we had John Gotti, who was in prison for like a long time, and his idiot son John Jr. Who couldn't even put a suit on. He'd go with the track suit. Like he had like a brother Peter and his son John Jr. They were both morons, and they would just go to prison and get their orders from him.
Yeah, it's basically what Haddad is doing. But now that they see that it's kind of blew up on their face, and now they're trying to change. They changed the red from their in their campaign. They changed the red to yellow and green.
Hmm.
There was a Catholic holiday last Friday. The Workers' Party, they went to church, they went to pray. Haddad now says that he's against total gun control. Now in his campaign he says that he has been married for 30 years. He's basically making a Bolsonaro cosplay and trying to confuse people and lure votes in. It's been really interesting.
I don't know where these images are coming from. Sorry, I'm apologizing to the audience, but I am trying to get the pop up of the chat. So we are going to talk about a few stories related to this right now in Brazil, but we of course I did a video earlier today about the whole issue of what's it called, the Roger Waters concert. We'll get to that. There's also
Oh my god.
yeah, there's also I believe that there's this massive campaign of dumbasses who want to make it seem like Brazil is basically becoming a fascist dictatorship or something. And I would say this,
Yeah.
okay? And Revan hasn't been on the show very often. It's not like we know each other's opinions exactly. The thing is that Brazil already had kind of a fascist dictatorship about 60 years ago, I think, with Getulio Vargas. So
Yes.
it's not as if like this is my opinion, okay? The fact is that in Latin America, fascism, like actual fascism, was kind of an acceptable philosophy back in the 40s and 50s, and it didn't take kind of the form that it did in Europe, in Argentina and in I think in not Bolivia, it might have been Paraguay. There were kind of these these really authoritarian military leaders who took control of their countries. Now, I'm not going to say it was a great idea because, I mean, what's Paraguay winning the, first place in today? Nothing. But in Brazil, Getulio Vargas was a prime minister he was a president for about, I think, 8 years. And then he committed suicide or something.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a period where he was the dictator. I don't know the specifics. He was a dictator during some time. Then he ran in an election and was elected. But the thing is about Getúlio is that the model of government he installed is used until nowadays. What is it called? What they had in Italy, the Carta del Lavoro that Mussolini did.
Mm-hmm.
Getúlio Vargas translated it and implemented it here. The labor laws.
So I think that with that past in mind, I think that people are really, they're jumping overboard. I don't think that, first of all, we can't just expect those people that might support Bolsonaro. He has like a fuckload of work to do. I mean, it's not like the country is in good shape. It went through one of its worst recessions. I think it was the worst recession of its history. But what they're doing right now is kind of unfair. And it will probably reflect in relations with Brazil and other countries in the future. Although a lot of these countries that claim that he's fascist, for example, they're also undergoing their own populist revolutions. But here we have the New York Review of Books, which is basically one of the big establishment publications here in the U.S. Although many of you might not have heard of it, I remember they used to put in the library here, and they go through the whole story of the coup of 1964, and the whole thing. The real problem I have with this, Revan, is that these people are behaving as if this is a coup. They're calling it. A lot of these leftists are calling it a soft coup. A lot of the far leftists are calling it a soft coup, and as far as I remember,
as they did when Dilma was impeached.
Right, and
everything they don't like is a coup.
A soft coup though. It's really funny because here in America, the popular vote is supposed to be what determines everything, and in Brazil, suddenly Bolsonaro destroyed the other people in the popular vote. I mean, it's not up for debate. I think he won 18 million more than the next person, which was Haddad. So suddenly the popular vote is a soft coup.
It's fascist.
Do you feel or I mean, let's not talk about feelings. Do you think that people are starting to get the impression that they're not trusted to choose the right person?
The people, like the ordinary people?
Yeah, the average person in your area, in Minas Gerais.
I think what's going on here is that the common people are starting to wake up for to this media establishment, and people are waking up to all the BS that the media is trying to throw on us. I think people are more immune to political propaganda here nowadays.
Yes.
But I mean, the media is trying to push this perception that people here can't choose, that they can't be trusted to choose. But it's just the kind of people we were talking about earlier, those rich socialist people that stay at home watching cable news and think they know what's the best for the poor people, and meanwhile they judge them like they see that they are inferior to them and they know what's best for them. I think it's just reduced to this part of the population, this train of thought that people can't be trusted with who they pick to vote. The average people here is totally woke up. I mean, the impression I have is that they're totally woke up about these things.
Yeah, I would say that this parallels, I don't know. I don't think you watch that channel, although maybe you do because he has a lot of international viewers. But there is a guy here named Dr. Steve Turley.
I don't know him.
So you might want to check out his channel. He does a lot of stuff about nationalism in Hungary and places like that. But he's been covering the Bolsonaro effect, and he's saying, it's the same idea. Just people at the top think that they know better, and they behave as if average people, whatever country it is, whether it is Hungary or Estonia, no, it was Latvia last week he talked about, they don't really have the impression that they have a voice in government at all. Like the decisions are made remotely, which I think is a major element of why people decided to vote for Brexit, why people decided to vote for Mr. Trump in 2016, including me, who I didn't really want to vote for him. I wanted to vote for Rand Paul. So you, of course, you had more choices in the first round. Who would you have picked if you? I mean, I know that maybe you picked for a person because you thought they would win. Who would have been the ideal person for you to pick in the first round if you could pick from all?
For me, honestly, there wasn't an ideal person. There was an ideal party, which is this Novo party. Partido Novo, that they have all these more libertarian view and stuff. I don't really like their guy who was running for presidency. I did a bit of homework on him, and he felt more like another kind of social democrat that claims to be a liberal, but it's a good liberal with other people's money. He's like into he was part of a big bank and stuff like that, but I still like the philosophy of his party. Here in Minas Gerais, I don't know if you know, the first round, the guy from Novo ended up in first place. Second place was a guy from the Social Democratic Party. which was the far right until Bolsonaro showed up. And the guy from the Workers' Party was kicked out. He stayed in third place. And Dilma was running for Senate. All the polls were showing that she was in first place. She ended up in fourth place.
So in general, you're saying that people did want really a change, even if it was.
Yeah.
I mean, Bolsonaro, I think, is, he's just one of the types of changes that people would want, and
yeah,
I think not all Brazilians believe in some of his Christian stuff or whatever it is, which is fine. I guess he can say whatever he wants.
Yeah, I voted for him. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of stuff that he thinks. Like, he's totally anti-drugs. I think recreational drugs should be legalized. He economically, I don't even consider him a right winger. I consider him more to the center, because he already made clear that he's not a cut off government welfare. He's not gonna privatize all the state companies, so he's more in the center in that matter. But I think it's what you said. People here really want change. It doesn't really matter who it comes from at this time. I bet with you the same way there were Bernie bros voting for Trump in the end there in the US. I bet that there are leftists here that are going to end up voting for him, because people are just fed up.
So we're going to talk a little about some issues that have cropped up. Revan sent me this article from BBC. Well, no, it wasn't this one. We'll get to that one later.
The go with the swastika?
Yeah, I didn't get to read through. Well, it's not this one either. Here we go. BBC. What's known about the case of the swastika carved into the world in Porto Alegre? Is that how you say it, Porto Alegre, or is it?
Yes, Porto Alegre.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't really speak Portuguese, by the way, so this is kind of guessing shit. But it says an image of a woman with a drawing carved into her skin has been shared exhaustively on WhatsApp groups, Facebook, and Twitter this Wednesday. And I can't read anything further than that. You want to take the wheel?
No, but I didn't look much into it, because when I saw the picture of the swastika, in my opinion only, I called it BS right away, because first the swastika is mirrored, and it's scratched like she was trying to do it herself, and it was painful, so she would go slowly. Because there was a similar case in Switzerland of a Brazilian lady that she went through abortion. She went kind of crazy, and then she did the swastika in the same style, and then she said that skinheads attacked her. But anyway, I showed you this article because they're trying to pin everything on him now. There was also a case of a bar fight that ended up in a murder. The first thing that the journalist asks the murder, are you a Bolsonaro supporter? So yeah, they're going with anything they're going to go with.
Yeah, if I was a Bolsonaro supporter accused of murder, I'd be like, no, I'm a supporter of Haddad or
Yeah, Lula livre.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty. Of course, they could just research your social media history anyway. But so you're saying this could be like a hoax, hate crime, or something. We have
hate crimes here. They do exist, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was something really common. If I say common, it would sound like it's an everyday thing. But I've seen it happening. I mean, it's not something non-existent. But the matter is that the story is half explained. The investigation didn't go through, and the so-called mainstream media that claims to be fighting fake news, they go with it and they say it's to blame on Bolsonaro supporters. I think it's really illustrative of the situation here. As I told you earlier, I don't get what goes on the head of these journalists, because they are doing exactly the same shtick that the CNN and the other media outlets in the US tried to do with Trump, and in the end, I believe it ended up helping him.
Yeah, they did the same exact thing in terms of the weird, like, supposed hate crimes as well, and there were there was just like this rash, especially in the beginning of 2017, of these supposed hate crimes, especially, people claiming that there were, nooses hung outside of windows and stuff like that, where, I think it really is. It's the same thing as this whole rape hoax thing that's been going on, by the way. Rape hoaxes are, by the way, that's the only reason that that there is, like, the reason you're seeing me and Revan on video right now is because in 2015 there was a story. Well, it started in 2014, the University of Virginia rape hoax, and it was such a huge issue that Rolling Stone basically concocted this thing out of basically this bullshit from some student that they wouldn't name that ruined the lives of all these kids at the University of Virginia. That's why I got back into writing and eventually.
That's the case of the mattress girl?
No, the mattress girl, in fact, I only found out about two years ago, but it's the same idea. The mattress girl was at Columbia. But yeah, the mattress girl, I mean, it's the same idea, but there's people, you don't understand. If there's, like, people think that these things happen and these hoaxes get discovered and people just move on, but it's not true. Like when there was a case at Duke University, the Duke lacrosse case, which is very famous here in the U.S. I don't know how famous it is outside the U.S., where these members of a lacrosse team were accused of raping a stripper. So when it was discovered to be a hoax, one of the people who had been one of the big defenders of the team members, his name was Stephen Miller, and now that guy is the top advisor to Donald Trump. So they basically, they created the monster that they hate. And actually, I think he's a pretty good advisor, but this is the way things happen. So there could be some people who, they might be affected by this swastika story, if it is fake, that they end up becoming radicalized to the right wing. So, I think it's a valid story to use as an example.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this election cycle has been amazing, that matter, because I can't stand 2 minutes of cable news nowadays, because you have those segments where the journalist presents, oh, there is this news here. Is it real or is it fake? And then I some shitty graphic pops up, fake news. Okay, that's it, not to the next one. I mean, they don't even bother to explain anything, and I don't get it, because I think that this is so transparent to the common people here, and I don't know, I have this conspiracy theory in my head that actually the people behind the leftist mainstream media are actually right-wingers, and they're planning all that to help the right, because I can't see any another logical explanation. I mean, these people, they're not schizophrenic, or they have some sort of a mental disease. I don't know. It's really clear. And I mean, I've been in the south of the country recently, and it's something that it's so clear. I mean, I was in the region of Foz do Iguaçu. I don't know if you know it, near Paraguay, Argentina.
No. Well, say it again. I don't think I've heard of it.
Foz do Iguaçu.
No, I haven't
it's known as the region of the triple border, because it's a border between Paraguay, Brazil, and Argentina.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of the region, but I haven't heard. I think it's called something else in Spanish.
No, Puerto Iguaçu is the city in Argentina, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there it's also known as a Islamic terrorist hotbed.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, because and there's a shitload of them there, like a lot, and my wife is Israeli, so always when we go there, she kind of has to keep her passport kind of hidden there when we're gonna pay stuff, and they ask for documents, because we get kind of worried. But I was talking to this dude. He's Arab. I don't know where he was from, and his uncle, they all benefited from Lula's policies and stuff. But his uncle, they were all no, fuck Haddad, Bolsonaro. I mean, it's everybody here. People are totally fed up. They see the media. They see it's a totally BS, fake news. and they keep insisting on it, and they're talking to their echo chamber, this high wealthy medium class of public employees and people that lean on the state, and they think that they are the true. And meanwhile, even illegal immigrants and all this sort of shit, they're all waking up for what's going on here and doesn't stick to them. It's really something.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, because Brazil does have like a very large population from Lebanon, and I think from might be Syria.
Lebanon, Syria, yeah, Turkey as well.
So those people, I think, obviously there's probably some bad apples among them, and you just mentioned that, I have heard that Hezbollah has like a very beefy operation over in the triple border area. So, but a lot of people, they move to these countries because it's much easier to open a business and have like a little more freedom in South or Central America than it is back home in Lebanon. And some of these Lebanese live in Africa, in fact, in Nigeria. But, I think, of course, they're not looking for Brazil to basically be, this free-for-all with a lot of crime, because it's probably, I mean, unless they are criminals, which, of course, some of them probably are, they don't like that. So we're going to talk a little about, let me see here. There was the whole issue of, you did mention that Rousseff. Oh, you mentioned this already. Where Rousseff was, she got 4th place in Minas Gerais.
Oh my God, that was really cool.
Now the other thing is that I don't know if I had this open, but what's going to happen with her and the other presidents, Temer and Lula? What do you think happens to them if Mr. Bolsonaro gets elected? Or, let's take the other scenario, if Fernando Haddad is elected.
Honestly, I think if Bolsonaro wins, Lula probably stays arrested. He's going to do all the 13 years that he's supposed to do. I believe nothing would happen to Dilma. Nothing would happen to Temer. If Haddad wins, he's probably going to push some sort of reform to manage to get Lula released. And then only God knows what's going to happen if he wins. Because his government program talks about socialization of the media, about writing a new constitution, releasing all the prisoners that were arrested for minor crimes. Only hell knows what he understands by minor crimes. And I think Bolsonaro is going to focus pretty much on economics, and I think he's going to do a bit of this live and let be with the Workers' Party. I mean, who's already in trouble is going to stay in trouble, but who's supposedly clean is going to stay clean, like Dilma, Temer, all their allies. I don't think he would push in some sort of major investigation or something like that. I think it would be pretty much like he might even get elected on this slogan like Trump did with Hillary, lock her up, and this sort of stuff. But in the end, they are kind of buddies, maybe. I think it would be something similar with Bolsonaro being elected.
We're joined right now in the chat, at least, by Arjun Sinha from
What's
Calcutta.
up, Arjun?
By the way, he was the one who I was thinking about this, but he was the one who suggested the stream. So you guys can thank him because he is pretty interested. Of course, I think he's coming up on like a election in a not too far future in West Bengal, where he lives over in India. Mm-hmm. And I think it's good that in my opinion, a lot of people around the world, it's less this kind of populist backlash is not about, Americans hating on Chinese or Chinese hating on India or Brazilians hating. I mean, there are some Brazilians that hate on Venezuela because there's a huge influx of people. Yeah. But it's like I think people are starting to realize, there's certain issues that are common to people around the world where, they have to get their own house in order before they can have good relations between each country. So
Yeah, I think it's more a matter of a backlash of the people who hating against the establishment, against the media, the mainstream media, and all those institutions that have been decades, I guess.
So we did mention the concert with Mr. Roger Waters, who I think is responsible for breaking up Pink Floyd. And,
Yeah.
I think he's a piece of shit, and I don't really, that would make me biased. So when he came to Brazil, before this issue with him, getting into the election, how of course, Iron Maiden goes to Brazil. They sell out massive, massive venues, and a lot of bands from that are known around the world. They're very popular in Brazil. They have some of their best
Yeah.
concerts in Brazil, and some of the live albums that are produced there are among the best, and they're
Mhm.
well known worldwide. Rock in Rio. I bought it when I was probably 17. So, what was the feeling when he came to Brazil? Because he is pretty popular there too, as he is around the world, and he has the Wall album, which he's been milking since 1980. Um,
Yeah.
so were people anticipating that he would do this?
Uh, I don't know if people were anticipating, but what I found fun is that people got pissed off at him, but they still wanted to see his concert. So there was a concert, I think, in São Paulo that people took a huge flag saying "Roger Waters, fuck you," and play the song. That was amazing. I mean, and I think it was a really. It wasn't an extreme reaction like he tried to pretend it was, because there was this concert that he put a picture of Bolsonaro, and he wrote on the screen. He was hiding, by the way. He wrote political opinion has been censored or something like that, and people were pretty much like, "Come on, dude, fuck you! I want to hear your music. Stop with this bullshit. We still love you. Just play the song."
Yeah.
It was.
I think that people are, here in America, Roger Waters isn't as much. Of course, we have people who like Pink Floyd here, but the same issue is very common with fans of Bruce Springsteen and Willie Nelson. Bruce Springsteen, of course, is one of the all-American working class singers. According to his image, but he's been consistently progressive Democrat since I think forever, and people have kind of gotten tired of it because he doesn't really live a working class lifestyle anyway. And then Willie Nelson, he's a huge pothead and he supports progressivism, and a lot of right wingers get kind of triggered by it because they don't understand that his music doesn't necessarily mean that his opinions are dependent on country music. Opinions.
Yeah. I think the Brazilian audience here surprised me because they handled it in a really mature way. They didn't got really triggered. I mean, they booed him and stuff, but people didn't stop going to his concert. People would still cheer when he would play the music, but because I mean, it's something that's happening here a lot, and I see a lot of Brazilian commentators saying that when an artist tells you how to think, you just reply by saying "shut up and entertain me." And that's it. And I think Brazilians are handling those things in pretty much that way, because Roger Waters, because he's a big name, it became international news and everything. But this routine of artists telling us how to vote and what to think, it's been going on forever here.
Yeah, and I would say that's an appropriate reaction. We're dealing here, and you might have heard. I don't know if it's really that big news internationally, but there's Taylor Swift has waded into politics a bit, endorsing a Senate candidate from Tennessee, and claiming that the woman who's running as a Republican doesn't represent her Tennessee values, as if
she's not a real woman.
Well, the issue is that Taylor Swift doesn't really. She's not. really that big of a Tennessee. I think she lived in Tennessee for a total of 5 years, and she technically still lives there. But another issue is, there's the Kanye West saga.
Yeah.
How is that really news around the world? Like, or I guess in your neck of the woods, Arjun can also answer in the chat. He's watching from India. What do you guys think when this guy who is a huge international rap star, fashion designer, and just celebrity, Kardashian fucker? What is the reaction when people see him just being pilloried and demonized by the media, or do people also think he's a moron like some of them do?
No, this kind of stuff doesn't even make it to the news here. I mean, I think it's just people here that follow international commentators and stuff that know about all this Kanye West thing, Taylor Swift. Here it doesn't make it to the news. What things that Brazilian journalists are really lazy. The Brazilian journalists that work with international news, I believe they wake up at midday, they drink a coffee, they go to the CNN website, copy the link, put it on Google Translate, job done, I'm gonna go to the bar. I think that's how they work, because those kind of things, they don't make it here. I know about those things because I watch stuff on YouTube, and I mean, YouTube has been a much more trustworthy source of news than any mainstream news channel here.
So is there music like in any, like, of course I mentioned like metal, like international metal is very big in Brazil. They also have their own metal scene. Sepultura is the one, I think I already mentioned that today, but is American rap really a big deal there? Is American pop music that,
Yes.
Of course there's the British pop, I think, is pretty well received worldwide. I know Oasis does pretty good concerts in South America. So would you say that people, when they see a person in the United States commenting on politics, they basically say, who gives a shit? Or is it kind of, is it just like a niche issue?
I think in the past Brazilians would get butthurt with those things, but I think we're moving on to simply not care about it.
So this article you sent me, I believe it says a congressman is asking is this the prosecutor?
I believe so.
Yeah, to open a case against the business that is responsible for the Roger Waters show. I think it said if I'm understanding it correctly, that they used public funds for it. Do you think this is really going to make any dent, or is it kind of like just somebody, getting his dick bent or something?
I think it's going to matter more on the cultural level of this culture war that has been going on here, because I mean, here in Brazil, that here everything that doesn't need to be publicly funded is publicly funded. Even that fucking cartoon Peppa Pig, it. Even that shit gets public money here.
Why not Blue's Clues, man?
Why not what?
Blue's Clues.
I don't know it.
Oh, you don't remember that one? I think no. the host of that, it was with that stupid blue paper dog, and the host that committed suicide. So that might be true.
And I mean, it's nothing new that a production of Roger Waters tour is getting public funds here. But what they're trying to pin on the production is that it's election year. And according to this guy, to the persecutor, I think he is prosecutor. I don't know how to say it.
Prosecutor.
Since it's a election period, they are breaking the law by using this art public funding. It's called the Ruined Law, which is an abortion, and I really hope that this thing ends someday. But according to him, it's illegal to use the money that comes from this funding to finance political propaganda. So he's trying to pin this thing that Roger Waters did in his concert as political propaganda. And I don't know, maybe if something comes out of it, the production of this tour will have to give some money back to the government. I don't know, but I found it really amusing to see that they're going after them now.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you know this, but Roger Waters is a huge supporter of the Palestinian
Yeah,
cause, and he's a really central figure, like probably the most famous international figure in the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement.
yeah.
And the issue, I have a lot of people in my immediate sphere. I'm actually, my parents were Israeli. I served in the Israeli army, and
Mhm.
they really hate Roger Waters for political reasons. And I keep saying, why go into politics? He's a piece of shit in his personal life too, because he's just a scumbag, and he's a tax evader, and he's a socialist, and he cheated on his wife with his best friend's wife or whatever. So why bring
Yeah.
Arabs and Jews into it? They probably they're probably not. They don't
He
even want to
doesn't
be
need the
tainted
help,
by
right?
this. But the thing is with Roger Waters, like, there's one thing I will say. Here in the United States, there is an effort by people who are political opponents of him to boycott his concerts and even sometimes ban him from appearing. And my reaction to that
Mhm.
is first of all, it's illegal to do that. It is the First Amendment right. For Roger Waters, I think
Yeah.
he is he's not if he's not a citizen, I think he's a resident of Long Island. And this is kind of digressing from Brazil, but you're just giving more attention to his concerts, and his fans like him, and they're not going to change because of the politics, at least the majority of them. So, just let him continue to live off of the one album that kind of made him a star, and eventually he will die, and David Gilmour will remain the real face of Pink Floyd. Actually, I'm a fan of the Syd Barrett period too. I don't know if any of
Yeah,
the
me too.
yeah, I don't know if the audience has a preference. If you guys are Waters fans, that's fine too. I don't really like his vocal style or anything. Let me see if there's anybody in the comments. I don't know if there's anything else you want to share, Revan, because we've been going for an hour. But
Yeah,
let's.
no, but the only comment I wanted to add is that I mean I think if people on the right tries to do the same thing that the left has been doing with these boycotts and all this bashing and stuff, it's that pendulum theory. You just give momentum to the pendulum to swing to the other way. I think the approach that Brazilians did here with Roger Waters was wonderful. Shut up and play the music, okay? I'm paying for it. Thank you. I think it was the best thing they could have done.
Yeah, I think, like, I'm hearing from Lennon in the chat as well as Arjun. But let's go to Lennon's comment first, because it is about Pink Floyd, and he's saying
Yeah.
it is propaganda. But so what? I'm not sure what that refers to. But he says, I saw Pink Floyd in concert without Roger Waters. If that makes you feel better, they were better with him. Well, of course, a lot of the songs that he was involved with especially on the Wall album, but also on the Animals, and what was the other album that Wish You Were Here? He was a very big part of why that band was a success. But I think it was his ego more than Gilmour's ego, more than anybody else that ruined the band. And unfortunately, wouldn't it be better if Roger Waters cared for the common man and for humanity enough to keep Pink Floyd together for the good of the people of Brazil? Maybe if all of Pink Floyd could tour together in Brazil, he could prevent neo-fascism from rising to power there. What do you say to that?
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Maybe
That would be
there
awesome.
should be maybe there should be a Pink Floyd reunion to stop fascism. Do you think so? After October
Yeah,
28th.
I would pay to see that.
The thing is, like, I think that they're an excellent example. Oh, Len McCarthy is saying Roger Waters is doing propaganda. Well, yeah, he is a political person, and it's a reason. By the way, the other Pink Floyd people are pretty far left too, but they don't make it a central issue of their music. And
Yeah, and they don't use their music to do activism, I believe, at least.
right. I think Nick Mason might be dead though, or I don't remember which one. Richard Wright, I believe, is dead. Of course, Sid Barrett's been dead for, I think, 20 or 30 years. But, I think that people, whatever political persuasion they are, they should be able to enjoy, whether it's comedians or artists or whatever, or football teams or just a play or whatever. It shouldn't just be injected with politics all the time. And I think Roger Waters, if he was to really just focus on making something new, he could change my opinion. But in fact, I think his solo album Radio Chaos is one of the albums that I hate more than any other in the world. So I'm just going to encourage him not to do that. Anyway, we have Revan Starkiller from Brazil, at King Lobsta on Twitter, KANG_LOBSTAH. Is that right?
Yes.
And any last words before we part for the night?
The second round will be on the 28th, and I hope we can talk again so I can update you about the mess here. I'll probably be live streaming on Twitch on the election day. On the first round, I did a 13 hours stream there.
Oh yeah, so maybe if you want, we could have it. If you want to.
Yeah.
Or I'll see if Lennon wants to. Well, we'll see who wants to join. I know Lennon is somewhat interested in this, and there's I have the other friend of mine, Adrian from Canada. We'll see. I think with Brazil's kind of been ignored, and of course there's important stuff going on also in Argentina and in Colombia right now. So we'll see how busy it is, but we'll be in touch. And
sure.
Do you have an endorsement to make, may I ask?
An endorsement?
Yeah, in terms of who to vote for.
Well, I can only tell who I'm voting for. I'm voting for Bolsonaro again. I vote for him in the first round, and that's it. I mean, let's vote for whoever it's necessary for things to change here. Because if power goes back to the Workers' Party, I think shit will hit the fan here faster than it did in Venezuela.
Well, he has the endorsement of Augusto Pinochet from the grave, as well as apparently Lennon McCarthy says that Russian bots love Pink Floyd. So,
yeah.
I guess, let me see. Well, should I pick a song by Sepultura? I have to find it.
There's a nice one from Ratos de Porão that they made bashing Lula when he got elected. If you want to put this one, it's really nice.
We'll have to see first if the music.
Okay. If you. Yeah.
Although it could be too late by now, because. Yeah, I should have checked. I'm not used to live streaming anymore, so I don't even check the. So what's the song again?
It's called Quem Te Viu. I'll write it.
Oh, here we go. Who saw you?
Yeah, it's a matter of saying when you know somebody and this person changed a lot. Here in Brazil, you say that, quem te viu? Like you changed a lot. Ratos de Porão, they are far leftist, and this song is bashing Lula for not being leftist enough, basically. But it's a really an amusing song.
Well, at least they let you. This is permitted, so you're going to get an extra treat. This is hardcore punk band Ratos de Porão. Did I say that right? I feel like every time I sound like are you? I feel like I'm being punked and I'm actually sounding like some sort of idiot. But
no. But in Portuguese, that A with the snake on the top of it, it's almost impossible for anybody else to pronounce it.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I mean, only Portuguese speaking native people can do it. My wife has been here for like 6 years already, and she still can't say it. So don't worry, it's normal.
Well, this is Ratos de Porão with Quem Te Viu. So here we go. Anytime now. Here we go. Damn it. It's fucking internet.
the Russian bots.
Saying he's drunk for power.
Yeah. Lenny is mocking my A with the snake.
Did you come after so late?
What?
There's footage there of him like collapsing into a machine.
Yeah.
Did that actually happen?
Oh wait. No, I didn't see the video. You mean the singer?
No, Lula, I think. Yeah, here we go. I'll go back. Oh, it's just some guy. Never mind. Archer's asking for something that I don't have. I can understand because I can read Portuguese, but it's a pretty clear song if you know. It's not very subtle.
But now in this election, the guys from Atos de Porão, they're supporting the Workers' Party.
So they're voting for a guy.
Yeah. Okay, can't you view for them as well, right?
Yeah. They're like Bernie.
Yeah. Sorry, what? Here it's going.
Okay.
Muito obrigado, companheiros, e até a vitória, se Deus quiser.
He says, thank you very much, comrades. Okay, so that's about it. Once again, thank you to Mr. Revan Starkiller from Minas Gerais, as well as...
Thanks for having me, Mr. Bold.
Oh, anytime, man. And, you know, it's always good to have somebody with taste in music, which not all of our viewers have.
Yeah.
But that guy's not here today. So we also had Lennon McCarthy, Arjun Sinha, who is the first patron on Patreon, by the way. So thank you very much. Pinochet, Fabio Miranda, who is also from Brazil.
Yeah, he's from my town.
Oh, okay. So you guys know each other or something?
Yeah.
And then I think that's it. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the main channel, Bold Like a Leopard. Please contribute to Patreon if you feel like you want more content like this. And also comment when it uploads. And I'll talk to you guys later. Revan, have a good night, and we'll be in touch.
Good night, Bold. See ya.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista.